Okay, yes, it's true. I gave up. I returned my M4 Mac Mini. I know what you're thinking, but Steve, everyone says it's the best computer ever created by Apple. Well, in this video, I'm going to talk about why I returned it, and I'm also going to show you what I did instead. So let's dive in. Shortly after Apple revealed to the world the new M4 Mac Mini, I was hooked. I fell for all the hype, the sales pitches, the tech. I was convinced the new M4 Mac Mini was going to revolutionize how I work. I quickly got online and ordered one so that I could have it delivered day one. Okay, so I ordered the base Mac 4 Mini, but I upgraded the memory to 24 gigs of memory. I was primarily going to use it for editing my YouTube videos in DaVinci Resolve, so I knew I'd need more than the base 16 gigs of memory, give me a little extra headroom. But considering that I'm just launching the channel and I didn't want to go nuts on the cost of a new computer, so instead of paying the Apple tax and upgrading to like 48 gigs of memory, I just took the baby step instead. So I bumped also the SSD to 512 because I wouldn't be able to function with a 256 gig hard drive. Come on, Apple, it's about time that kind of cost came down a little bit more too as well. But adding that in, I was already $400 on top of the base $599 with those changes. The day came. It showed up. I was super excited to crack it open. Apple has mastered the art of packaging. In spite of it being just the computer and the power cord in the box, it's still an experience opening their products for the first time. When you peel away all the meticulously crafted pull tabs and slide open the box for the reveal moment, it's just as exciting as opening a present on Christmas. I quickly got it set up. I installed DaVinci Resolve and a few other essentials, and then I got started updating. Of course, I got to update it before you even do anything with it because you have to have the latest, greatest version of the Mac OS to get all the bells and whistles from the very beginning. But then once I got it set up and updated, I started playing around in DaVinci Resolve. I ran some benchmarks from the Blackmagic design tools to see how fast the SSD drive was. I opened some of the more recent projects and tested to see how long it was going to take for these to render. And, it's just all the things we geeks do when we get new toys. We'll play with them and test them out and see how fast it is. But my mistake was I was also watching every single review and unboxing video that hit YouTube that day. And it was a lot of videos. And the more I watched, the more the dread started to creep in. And I realized that I made a mistake. As more and more smarter than I am YouTubers ran their tests, their evaluations, they were also running these tests against the M4 Pro Mac Mini. And the results of these tests are really what concerned me the most. The plan for this was to have a machine that would give several years of usage with hope that someday I could get my channel going well enough to fund maybe more upgrades to something even more powerful. But the gap in those tests between the M4 Mac Mini and the M4 Pro Mac Mini was a pretty drastic difference. So let me show you what I mean. So first, we're looking at single core performance comparison. Several different YouTubers ran a variety of benchmarks between the two, and in this one here you see here, it's the Geekbench 6 CPU test. And the M4 scored a 3,810 for single core and 14,544 on the multi-core test. The M4 Pro scored 3,572 on the single core, but 19,957 on multi-core. This is 37% faster on the multi-core test in the comparison between the two. For the GPU, the M4 scored 37,696, and the M4 Pro a whopping 60,904, which is 61% faster. I think I got my math right. And finally, a Cinebench test, which gave the M4 a multi-core score of 13,515 points, and an M4 Pro got 19,369 points. I don't know what that means, but it's bigger. But then they ran the Blackmagic Design disk speed test, the one I had run myself earlier. The M4 SSD reported a 2,004 megabytes per second write speed and a 2,971 megabytes per second read speed. The M4 Pro came back with a write speed of 4,123 megabytes per second and a read speed of 5,096 megabytes per second. That's 48% faster write speed and a 58% faster read speed. This last comparison is what essentially sealed the deal for me. The SSD performance between the two systems was just way too great to ignore, and at that moment I decided to return it. Yep, done. I'm throwing in the towel. Oh wait, hold. It was at that moment I decided to return it, and yes, I was throwing in the towel. I packed it back up in the box. I made my way down to the local Apple establishment. It was a Sunday afternoon, and I was worried that they were going to be so busy with all the new Macs having just come out on that Friday. It was very busy, but I was quickly moved to a quieter area where an employee came over to help me pretty quickly. And I explained why I was there, what decisions I had made, and I told him I needed to return this and upgrade it to the M4 Pro Mac Mini. Yes, I committed to moving to the M4 Pro. The only problem was the only version they have of the M4 Pro Mac Mini in the stores is the base model. I was seriously considering going with an upgrade of either 32 or 48 gigs, but I wanted it now, and I didn't want to wait for them to ship it to me, so I did some soul searching, deep thinking, decided just to jump in with what they had in the store, and I figured if I hit some limitations along the way, I could always return it, make the change if needed, and in the meantime, I'd be able to get started right away. So that brings us to today. Yes, I did originally buy a base M4 Mac Mini, and yes, I did return it. And I walked out with the M4 Pro Mac Mini with the 24 gigs of memory and a 512 gig hard drive. What pushed me over the edge, what I mentioned before, was the increased performance of the processor and the drastic performance increase in the SSD. And moving from Thunderbolt 4 to Thunderbolt 5 ports on the back of the device was just another thing to help make that easier. These differences I felt would give me a piece of hardware I'd be able to use for quite a while longer with the flexibility for future improvements in storage with the Thunderbolt 5 ports. It's now over a week later since I made the change, and so far it's been a fantastic machine. I haven't seen any issues with any of the tasks I've thrown at it, but I'm not really a heavy user in DaVinci Resolve. I've seen many other people posting questions about it on Reddit and other places who seem to be in the same situations I found myself. Do I stick with the base model or do I move to the Pro? Well, I've shared with them each time what I discovered and what I ended up doing. So I'm sure there's many others out there who might be considering the same option. Hopefully, this will answer some of the questions you have and maybe help you make a decision yourself. I will continue putting the Mini to the test, and I will report back with how it's doing for me down the road. But are you in the same situation? Are you considering which model is best for you? So post your questions and your concerns in the comments below, and I'll do the best I can do to answer them to the best of my ability. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.